I'm going to give it 50-50 odds. It just does not work. So we're going to find out together, I guess. Whew. Hopefully y'all are doing good. Having a nice sort of getting towards the end of the year time. For those of you for whom the year starts in January, which I guess isn't everybody. All right. Twitch is good. And, oh, it did work. All right, fair enough. Welcome to today's live stream, which I didn't think was gonna work with the settings I had, but sure enough it did. Good news, at last. So today we're going to be migrating from Rasa 2.8.3, nope, 2.8 for Rasa, 2.8.3 for the Rasa SDK, and this is what's currently installed in this Anaconda environment. Wow, I forgot the word environment there. That we will be using to demonstrate the migration process. And we're going to be taking it to a Rasa 3.0 version of the same Rasa assistant. So I've got the migration guide over here in another tab. So if I'm looking over here a lot, that's what I'm looking at. Hello, Gustavo and Paulo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's really quickly look at what's in this assistant currently, and then we'll walk through the process just so you know what I am working with. So this is the help desk assistant. It's from our Rasa starter pack. So let me pull it up so you can see it on our GitHub. It's Rasa HQ / help desk assistant. This one right here, Apache 2.0 license, and it's an IT help desk is the idea, and it's sort of like an example where there's sort of raw ends where you would plug it into your own server. So as you're using the assistant, you'll be like, if there was the server, here's what the server would say, but there isn't. So here's the information we would pass to the server, that sort of thing. I believe this is one I set up a while ago. I believe this might currently, no, it ain't. I was going to say, this might currently be updated to Rasa 3, but certainly not if the last update was in July. So it's currently a 2.0. Will I push this? Probably not. There'll probably be some bugs I don't quite get to today in the hour. So let's hop right in and I'll show you what the assistant does. I've done a tiny bit of prep work here. So I have my action server running in another terminal other than the one that we are looking at right now. Sorry, my audio is a little bit low. Hopefully y'all can still hear me okay. And I also have just a Docker container running that has Duckling in it on port 8000. If you are developing on Windows and you're using Docker, I would highly recommend just using the Windows executable. I've spent a lot of time getting Docker to run on Windows, and in my experience, that's what's easiest. So that's what I've already got set up, and let's talk to the assistant, and so you can see what it does. So Rasa shell to launch this assistant in the shell. It'll take a second. I don't got no water. Ooh, okay. I guess I'm just gonna be really thirsty during this live stream. Taking a second to load the models. So two things we need to do today. The first is to update our version of Rasa, and then we're going to need to update the assistant. And we do have, and we'll talk to it in just a second, we do have some automated, we do have some automated help here. And I'm trying to just scroll until I find the I'm trying to find the specific command that we can use to automate some of our NLU porting over. Well, I can't find it right now. If you can't tell, I'm pretty tired right now. We'll deal with that when the time comes to it. The first thing that we're going to want to do is start looking at our assistant where it is in 2.8.0 and see where we're trying to get to in Rasa 3.0.0. So first off, let's just say hi and kick off the conversation. So it's an IT help desk assistant. It will let me open request tickets or check the status of open incidents. So let's start by, let's say I need to reset my password. Ah, cool. This was working earlier. Did I accidentally... 5055. What are you running on? 0005055. What am I pointing you towards? 00005055. And you are working 20 minutes ago. So what has changed? Failed to execute custom action. Connect call failed. Connect to host, SSL default. It shouldn't be secure. Couldn't connect to the server. Is the server running? Are you running? I wonder if it's timed out, maybe? I'm just going to start relaunching the action server and see if that helps. So I'm going to rerun actions. All right, up and running, 5055. Let's try resetting our password again. Exciting times. Someone says, how is the validation of slots on the form in version 3.x? So you can still validate them with custom actions. That should be more or less the same. If you are like trying to validate the content, you might need to do a little bit less validation in terms of, no, it wouldn't affect your validation. What I was just going to say is your slot mappings are a little bit more explicit, but that shouldn't change your validation. So just in a custom action the way that you did previously. Cool, same error. All right, let's restart. All right, /stop. Once more with feeling. Rasa shell. I have a problem after the slot validation. They always return the next prediction intent fallback. Next prediction intent fallback. So you're validating the slots, and then the predicted intent is fallback. Am I understanding that correctly? I'm going to try to have one successful conversation with this assistant so you can see it working before we break it in the migration process. So I'm just going to say I want to open an incident. You literally just worked. Literally. Maybe I need to call it localhost. Try this one more time. Well, this is off to a rousing success of me trying to show you that the assistant is working. It was, I promise, just working. I'm not entirely sure what I've done. I really hope it is not the fact that I am streaming doing something. So I'm going to ask about, oh, I was trying to say password. Well, whatever. Anyway, that's the assistant. It currently doesn't work. But if we can get it to at least start and give us that starting dialogue when we say hi in 3.0, I will take that as a success. So let's start a new terminal. I've been having problems with Conda and PowerShell, so I've just started using the command terminal instead. If any other Windows people are having that issue, that might help. And let's activate our environment with some correct letters. C-O-N-D-A. Activate. A-C-T-I-V-A-T-E. Rasa. 223 demo, I'm pretty sure is what I called it. It was fabulous. And let's double check the Rasa version, which should still be 2.8.0. Yep, fabulous. So let's do a pip upgrade. Rasa. And this should take just a little bit, and I'm fairly sure that's the syntax. I guess we'll find out. Okay, I did it right. One thing that I have done in this pip, in this conda environment is I did uninstall pip and then reinstall and then upgrade pip. So I believe I'm in 21.3. Some of the 20s subversions of pip got into a weird dependency resolution loop that just took a really long time. Cool. Once more, only for the user. So this should get us up to our current version of Rasa 3. Not on path. That should be fine. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And meanwhile, I'm going to grab that command for the update utility. And one place where I know off the top of my head that it's in the slots 3 blog post we wrote. And most of this migration effort is going to be in the slots. Rasa. So on the Rasa blog, yeah, this one on slots. And it should be, we talked about why we changed it. We talked about what they look like now. So in the slots in the domain, you're going to specify the mappings and the type in the slot section and not in the form section, which should reduce duplicated effort. And what I'm just looking for here, there we go, is this migration utility. So I'm going to be using that to at least get started with the bulk of the work. All right, we got some errors, but did I still get enough to get to Rasa 3? Great. Okay, so Rasa 3.0.2, which I believe is our latest release, that includes a couple of small bug fixes. Our changelog is on our GitHub as always. So now, if I try to do Rasa shell, I will get some more interesting errors. So you can see if I've updated Rasa, but I haven't migrated my assistant, I can see that the model version that was trained in a version that is not compatible with the current version of Rasa open source. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to do the migration. So a couple of things that are going to need to change. In our domain file here, we have all of our intents, we have all of our entities, and then we have our slots here where we just have the type and we do not have the mappings. So in the future, they're going to need to include the mappings right in the slot definition. And then if I scroll way far down, all the things our bot says, you can see in our forms where we talk about a specific slot, we add a bunch of information underneath this in each of our forms. And I believe we have a couple, we have 2 forms in this particular assistant. And you can see that this form, this entity email, has all this information, and that it is exactly the same as all of the information here in entity email. So there's some duplicated effort there, and as your assistant gets bigger and bigger, you're going to have more and more issues like that. And then the many and varied actions that it takes. So let's start off by moving our, doing the data migration. So again, I'm in the slots blog post here just because I knew off the top of my head that it was in there. And the specific migration is this. So I'm going to, I think, put this in a new directory. And I'm gonna say not just the domain, and we'll see how that goes. It's been a while since I tried the migration utility. And by a while, I mean like a week, and things might have changed in there, so no promises. And let's call this migrated version. I believe that'll touch, so it should create a new one. Great, fabulous. So yes, we now have our migrated version here. So you can see there's some differences. One, it says 3.0 at the top instead of, let me close everything else so we're not looking at a bunch of stuff together. So it says 3.0 at the top instead of 2.0. Session config and intents and everything is the same. And then if we come down to slots here, you can see that in the old one, there wasn't a lot of information for each of the slots. And in the new one, it has all of the mappings, and these have been taken from the forms. And if we scroll down to the bottom, here, you can see that our forms are now much shorter, and it's just basically a list of required slots. And if we look at that in the original domain, here in the forms where there's a lot more information. So I'm going to rename this to domain.yaml because I think we are good to go there. So that's the domain file. A couple other things are going to need to change. So one is the it's the right one. No. 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 Okay, so I'm going to delete the old domain and replace it with the current one. Doop. Yep. Goodbye forever. And then I'm going to rename you to domain.yaml again. There we go. Fabulous. So that should be updated. And the other things that we should need to update, there'll probably be some stuff in the actions which weren't working to begin with, so we may not talk about them a whole bunch, but they are covered in a lot more detail in the migration guide. Make that a little wider for you to see. Are in Jiminy Cricket, the config, which will have some pretty big spaces. And wow, this is a little bit of an older assistant, huh? So this no longer has the default config. And I'm not entirely sure that this command is going to work on the config, but we might as well try, huh? I think that's only going to work for the domain, but we can give it a shot. Yeah, okay. So we're going to need basically a brand new config, I would say. This is a config which exists. Now we need to include recipes. So one of the big changes that won't necessarily affect a lot of what you're doing day to day as a developer in Rasa 3.0 is that we now have a graph-based architecture where you can specify, basically you can draw, your directed acyclic graphs to show the flow of information between components and specify that. And when it comes time to retrain your model, you can retrain only the affected nodes and their parents. So it should overall reduce training time and allow you to have a much more customizable assistant. And it was a lot of work and a lot of refactoring behind the scenes. And there's just a teensy little bit there of additional information, so that you need to say what your recipe is. The recipe is what is your DAG, basically, your graph. And we have a default recipe that comes built in, so you shouldn't need to mess with it unless you need to. So, I'm just looking this. There we go. So this is what Rasa 2.0 looked like so. And in Rasa 3.0, we just need to add this recipe line at the top. So let's do that. No, just the one. Just that first line. Everything else should be able to stay as it is. Yes, this all looks good. And this is the URL where my Duckling container is running. It's a little bit slow, but it's small, but it says 0.0.0.0 8000. So that's all looking good. That's a check. We no longer support markdown data, which has been removed previously in this assistant. This should all be in YAML. Let me look at my data just to make sure. Yep, that's all in YAML. So we're good there. And then custom policies and custom components. I don't believe there are any in, nope. There's no custom components in this this particular assistant, so we don't have to do that. Training data. We need to add 3.0 rather than 2.0 at the top of all of our training data files. So we should do that just really quick. So we've got our handoff. This should be the same. We've got this. That should be the same. That all looks good. We've got our rules. So we should just be able to change that. And all of this shouldn't change from 2.0 to 3.0. So we should be there, good there. 2.8 to 3.0, I should say. For training, we weren't using drive run to begin with, so that should be good. We aren't going to need to touch any of these. I think we actually might have a fallback policy. Let me double check our config. All right. For fallback threshold, rule policy. This may or may not be compatible. If it's not, we'll get an error and we can dig into that and see what the issue is. But I think we should be good because we're not actually using the fallback policy, which was a specific policy that was looped into the rule policy. So we should be good there. And I don't think we were using sklearn. We were not. Okay, we're good there. Check, 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 check. Removing tokenizers and featureizers. Let me double check that. Language model tokenizer, I think. Yeah, we're not using any of that in this assistant, so we should be good there. I'm just going through this and like thinking about what's in this one and seeing if we can update all of that. Slot mappings, we should be good to go here. We may need to poke around with the slot validation actions, but again, they weren't working before, so it's not like much is gonna change there. And then finally, okay, we've already updated that using the utility. And here's the automatic migration command that we used. Mapping conditions are good. We shouldn't need to manually migrate. Everything looked good when we looked through it before. And yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's try training and see how that goes. I imagine we're going to get a couple rounds of errors we're going to need to hunt down. Rasa train. But when that happens, we'll deal with it at that point. What's this? Blah, blah, blah. Specify a recipe. Did I not save literally any of these files? Yeah, we're going to get a lot of errors. Well, no, we have a recipe in there. It is. Oh, maybe it wasn't saved. Just going to go through just real quick. Just real quick. Make sure all of these are good to go. Okay. All right. And it's training. Okay, so I think so far so good. I'll take a second to go through, and I am gonna actually just completely kill this. I'm gonna kill both of these. Control C to stop this one from running. Just so when we relaunch it, we don't have any port warnings. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Gustavo says save the files. It has now been saved, yes. We may end up needing to retrain, but again, because of the updates in 3.0, retraining should be pretty quick. Not that we retrained when we didn't need to, but it was at a higher level, right? So you'd see something like no changes in I'm trying to remember the exact error, but if you didn't update any of your like NLU data, your NLU components wouldn't be retrained. So it was something that we were doing previously, but now it's a little bit more robust and wide-reaching. Like watching paint dry. Ugh. Okay. So any other comments in the chat? Nope, looks like we're good. Ugh. Man, I'd love a nap right now. Nap sounds so good. All right. So we've got our we had our NLU trained, and now we are working on training the other part of the pipeline, which is the when you figure out what happens next in the conversation, then that is the dialogue policies part of the pipeline. Although it's that distinction between core and NLU or dialogue policies and NLU we're sort of is just pretty much cosmetic at this point because it doesn't exist at a at the level of the source code. All right. Let's restart our action server. One second, I'm gonna make sure my duckling server is still good to go, still live. We should be good there. It is running. So now we should be able to talk to our assistant in the shell. I'm thoroughly expecting something to blow up here, and we'll just figure out what it is then. Vin says, how can I use a custom component with the Docker Compose installation? Are there any blogs pertaining to this? Not that I know of off the top of my head. Custom components did change between 2.x and 3.0. And I believe we no longer recommend Docker Compose, if I remember correctly. Oh, so far so good. Did we do it successfully? That would be great. That'd be awesome if it just worked. I'm too pessimistic to believe it. So to answer your question, Ben, I don't know of any specific resources. I would ask on the forums. Do I have which scene am I in now? Am I in this one? I do not. I was looking to see if I had one of my little forum pop-ups in this scene so I could give you the forum address. I believe it's forum.rasa.com. So yes, I would ask there if you have not gotten, not already done that. All right. Great, we have parity. It was broken before at this page, so let me try opening an incident and see if it works. It works magically. My email address is test at, there's no spaces in email addresses, test.com. And this is a button thing, and I also believe this was previously broken in 2.0, so we're not going to deal with it. I'm going to say that it is of medium priority. Oh, did I actually hit enter? I don't think I did. There we go. All right, what's the problem description for this issue? I'm having an issue this is a very unhelpful problem description. I would not recommend actually using this either this title help or this problem description. I just am showing off the you know, the state of the assistant. Okay. All right. So now let's say what's the status? Maybe I've just made an issue ticket and I'm like, is it fixed yet? Is it fixed yet? Is it fixed yet? It's thinking. How are you doing? You humming along? Yep. All right. So there looks like we don't have a validation for problem description, so we're just sort of skipping that. And everything else looks good to go. One thing that we should update here is passing the parameter response instead of template, which would explain why we didn't get our response there, and it just sort of ended. Ah, this is cool. So this is where we were before. Task exception was never retrieved. Future task finished. Let's dig into our actions a little bit. So I would say successfully we have migrated the functionality we had. Was this in actions? Let me double check. Warning. Okay, so it was in actions. Let's take a look at that. And then template is what we said. All right. And we're going to replace template with response. Does it show up anywhere else? Rachel, you could do this with keyboard shortcuts. Yes, I could. Consider this. Sometimes I just like scrolling through code. All right. Okay, and I think we're good here. When we updated Rasa, we should have also updated the Rasa SDK. So if I Control C to stop this, rerun the action server with this change, I think we will not run into that same error again. Or maybe we will. I don't know. It's exciting times. We'll find out by trying. Let's relaunch in the shell. I just closed out that session because I think we got into a weird state with async. Asim says, does Rasa X work with 3.0? No. The current version of Rasa X does not support Rasa 3.0. It is a priority to us, but if you try to use them together, you will have issues and to be sad. I would not recommend it. And we should announce once that that is live, and I would keep an eye on I'm trying to think of where would be the best place to keep an eye on that, because Rasa X is closed source and the GitHub repo is perhaps obviously not open. So I would say if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, we'll almost certainly talk about it in the newsletter. Our social feeds, so Twitter and LinkedIn, I think would also be another good place to keep an eye on. And I'll mention it in the stream when it comes up, but you may or may not be watching then. Happy birthday, Aslan. I cannot give out Rasa shirts. I do not have the keys to the merch store, but happy birthday. Then Docker Compose query, I found a blog post, but it does not mention custom components. I believe. Let me check something real quick. I'm just gonna hop over the blog, Rasa blog. That's the one. Didn't we have a blog on custom components, markers, the pipeline? No, we surely don't. There may be, one sec, let me check our YouTube. There may be a YouTube video. I'm gonna check that real quick. Oh, that's cool. Rasa HQ is live now. Quality with markers. Markers. Nope. Surely we do not. I would say keep an eye on things, and there may be something in the future. Yeah. All right. Let's try talking to our assistant again. Hi. Let's see if we fixed our issues by replacing templates with responses. Templates is deprecated. Those are two separate words. So let's do a password reset, see if that'll work. What's my email address? Test@test.com. If any of y'all didn't know, test.com and the domain is maintained as a resource for people who are testing. So it's not gonna send a real human an email if you use that as a, not that this would send anybody an email regardless, but if you're ever looking for test domain, I would recommend test.com. What's my problem description? Forgot my password. I need help. Great. Okay, so our response is now working. We have successfully gotten that response fixed. So the assistant is asking, should I open an incident? Email test@test.com, problem description, forgot, title, problem resetting password, priority low. And I'm going to say, yes, let's affirm this is the incident that I would like to be filed. What was the word that we were saying? Open. This is the incident I would like to be opened. And then I should be able to check the status as well. And one thing that's really nice about 3.0 as opposed to 2.0 with this particular example is if we would like, we can reset the slots for, password or problem description or whatever at any point during the conversation with the assistant. Resetting slots was a big pain in the tuchus previously, and is now much more streamlined, which is great. Yeah, let's use the same email address, that test@test.com. Taking a second. And this is where I was saying this is sort of an example repo where there's like raw edges where the database would be. So if ServiceNow was connected, it would be filed, but since it's not, it isn't. Great. And we still have this button error that I do not care enough to try and solve, and that's that'll be in 2.0 and 2.x and 3.0. So nothing specific about 3.0 there. So I think we've successfully ported. Just to reiterate about what we did using it's in here somewhere, using the migration guide. We didn't have any markdown data, so nothing to do there. The model configuration, all we needed to do was add this recipe at the top of the page. It's the default recipe. We don't have to change anything, but if you wanted to, now you have the capability, and it should speed up training times for you, especially retraining times. We didn't have any custom components or policies. I think this is what I was thinking about. Yes, this is what I was thinking about to answer Vin's question about the custom NLU components. It was, in fact, the documentation page. That's what I meant. The type annotations. I'm gonna assume this is type annotated. Yeah. So we're importing typing, and then are we using typing? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we are fine there, but if you weren't using typing, maybe start. And For the that we didn't mess with at all. For the training data, you just need to change 2.0 to 3.0 at the top of your files, which we did. For training, we're not using dry run. We weren't using any of these affected components, so we should be good to go. And then for slot mappings, we used the automatic migration utility, and it was easy peasy, did everything we needed to do, and it's good to go. And then we did use the, where were they? We got a very helpful error message in here somewhere. Well, in one of these, we got a very helpful error message that we were using template instead of response. So we just replaced template with response, and it fixed it. And I would say if you are continuing to have issues, just retraining and addressing the error messages and working iteratively like that. And if you have any issues, heading over to the Rasa forums, which are forum.rasa.com. I'm 90% sure but I have been wrong before. Sure enough, it's forum.rasa.com, and I would ask in the Rasa open source channel here. So this is where I'd recommend asking about it. Great. I think that's all we had. I think it was a little bit of a quicker one today. Let me check the chat, see if anybody had any outstanding questions. Looks like y'all do not. Great. So that was the migration end to end. We started it in an environment with 2.0 and then we upgraded to 3.0. And just as a reminder, the command to do that is pip install -U Rasa, which will upgrade the version of Rasa that you have installed locally. And we'll also install one if you don't have it installed. Also, we just uploaded today installation guides that should be current for 3.0 for Mac OS and Windows. Not the M1 chips. If you are using the M1 chip, I'm so sorry, there's still issues. It is a TensorFlow problem. The TensorFlow team knows, and hopefully they're working on it. So that's what we've got today. I hope this was helpful. I hope your migration goes as smoothly. I would say this was a pretty simple migration process. And we will see you next Wednesday for the very last office hours of the year. So we'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend and have fun building bots. Build good things. All right, I'll talk to you later.